Hello, welcome to Wednesday night. Glad you could join me. So we've got a few bits we've got to get through tonight. So first of all, I just want to give out a huge thank you to everyone involved in this channel. It started off very small and it's growing all the time. We've had a shuffle around this week. We've had a discussion on where things are going, and we're going to make some changes. Hopefully they're going to be for the better, and you're going to see those changes start happening more or less straight away. Before I get into that, though, I just want to go through Airfix. If you tick the box to receive their monthly newsletter, they've got an excellent piece out this month. It's all about a trip they took to, now is it Bruntingthorpe Air Museum, or Air museum of some sort, and I got totally lost in the work. The written work was amazing. They've got Meteors there, Jaguars, Handley Page Victor. They've got the Avro Vulcan. They've got a piece on that. They don't have the Avro Vulcan there anymore, I don't believe, but they've got a piece on it. Tiger Moth. So many planes, jets, biplanes, and there's a really good piece on that. So if you're not a member of the Airfix, I think that's a free thing that you get with Airfix. It's not one that you only get if you're a member. Yeah, try and join and subscribe. You get their free monthly newsletter, and it's you get great bits of information like that. In the same email that came, they've announced that they've got a new tooling Spitfire, the Supermarine Spitfire Mark. Now it's X1V, so it's 14. I'm sure that's 14. Just bear with me a minute while I just check what I wrote down, because I did write it down. No, I've lost it. Oh no, here we are. Yeah, so it's the 14 Supermarine Spitfire Mark 14, and you can now pre-order that for $20.99. And I'm a big supporter of Airfix. I'm a big supporter of Airfix and Revel. And I think their new tool stuff is really very good. And so yeah, if you're in the market for a new Spitfire, give it a try. I've got no other information on it, so I couldn't tell you whether I don't even know what stage they're at. But the fact they're announcing it's coming soon, I would think it's going to be before summer. But who knows? So on to the bits and pieces. So first of all, I want to bring up the competition that I ran. And basically that's dead in the water. We had about 3 or 4 people enter. It was a complete washout. There was no interest in it at all, despite all my attempts. I don't know why it didn't work. So that has just been, I did state at the beginning, if there wasn't enough participation, then I wasn't going to bother with it. I'm disappointed. Perhaps it was too soon for me to jump in and do something like that. It was right at the beginning of the when I started this channel, but you live and learn. So anyway, so I just wanted to put a line underline that. Now then, we've got the podcast. Now this is coming out very soon. We've had a couple of delays. Mainly they've been audio related. We've been struggling with the sound, and we're all, each of us are listening to it and playing it back and seeing what we think. So, you know, we're deciding now whether to release episode 1 as it stands, or whether we're going to re-record. Now, I really want to get this off the ground. So even if it's a re-record, I would look at doing that as soon as Sunday, maybe, and then get that out as soon as possible. Want to make it a fortnightly thing. Initially, it's just going to be released on the podcast Facebook page, which is SprueCast. If you haven't joined, go and join there. We'll probably, if we do, we'll probably just blanket everywhere to begin with, till we can try and get some interest in it, and then get everyone focused in on the SprueCast Facebook page. It will be going to other podcast sites eventually. That's proving more difficult than I thought. But hopefully we'll get that sorted. We have got a couple in the bag. We've got a couple more waiting to do, and I'm optimistic about that. I still think it's a good thing we're doing. It's going to be free, and we'll wait and see. So hopefully that's going to be dropping in the next couple of weeks. I will really want that to be out within the next 2 weeks. That's what the target I'm setting for that. So on to some of the changes that have been made. Right, we've had a shuffle round of admins and moderators. Now then, if you were an admin and you are no longer an admin, that doesn't mean that we've fallen out or anything else. What I've had to do is to make the decision that if you're somebody that's regularly involved with the site, you're in the Hangouts, you're always around and answering questions and doing things like that, then I feel that you deserve the admin title. And so that's what we've based our decision on there. So there's currently, I think there's 4 admins at the moment, and that would be me, Sue, Bob, and John. Moderators. Now, moderators are people in our eyes who are always they're more active in the forum on the Facebook page, and they take a leading role in that, and they're putting up lots of stuff and things like that, and then they sound as though they're sensible. They will be moderators. Now at the moment, I believe there might be 2 moderators. I can't remember who they are. I've also invited another one. I'm not sure whether he's answered or not yet. But let's say there's been a change at the top. There's been a couple of people that have been removed from that purely because it's nothing personal. They just haven't been around. They haven't been doing anything in the group. They've not been kicked out or anything like that. They're just, we want to try and keep the group growing. It's very important to keep the group growing and keep it moving forward. So that's that. If you've got any concerns to the people that have been moved or had the title removed from them, just get in contact with me and I'll explain it to you. It's as I say, it's nothing personal. So on to some of the other changes that we're making. So there's going to be, now these are tried and tested formulas that have worked in other groups. We've looked at them and they've been popular, and they're obviously popular for a reason. They work. So we're going to introduce the theatre and the triage. So let me start with the triage. The triage is going to be a group within the SprueSurgery Waiting Room, and it will probably be pinned at the top of the Facebook page, so it's easy to find. And in there, if you've got any problems, say you've got a bad paint finish, or you have some other issue, that the instructions you can't understand or anything like that, you can post your picture and your question in the triage, sorry. And then any one of the admins or moderators or anyone else that's in the group can come along and answer them. And you can get help that way. So that's the triage. The next one is the theatre, and this is going to be a weekly thing. It's done in other groups. It's nothing, no big surprise really. You can post a picture up of your favourite build of that week, or you know, basically your favorite build or what you're doing that week. You can post up as many pictures of that build as you want. So you can't post up multiple pictures of multiple builds, but multiple pictures of that one build. And then each week we will come along and we will go through and we will look at them and share them with the rest of the community. So that will be the theatre. Again, that will be posted at the top so that you can easily find it. And every week it'll probably reset so that the next bunch of pictures can come in. So we're expecting them both to have a bit of a slow start. But once word gets out, we're hoping that will pick up. So there are two changes for the moment. We are looking at other stuff, and I've got great support from the admins in the group. They're really much better at this than I am. So I'm really just the front man, giving they've come up with most of these ideas, and I've got to give them great thanks, very humble thanks for what they've done. So thank you guys for that. Now then, that's pretty much it for the announcements in that regard. Let's move straight on to the work and stuff. I'm going to move onto Dobby first. So Dobby has had some more work done to him. What have I done? I've dulled down the eyeballs a bit because they're a bit too white, and obviously the neckline was a bit of an issue. That has now been filled, sanded, and obviously the colour's been blended around the neck. It's a bit brighter here, but again, I feel that's probably accurate, given that you know, it's going to be clean around the back than around the front, and he's also going to have the sun on his skin on his back. So you know, it'll probably get a bit more done with it. The legs are still to do, but I will get round to it. And I'm looking at getting the hands on. I should have probably put the hands on before now because they're bright yellow or green, sorry. And obviously they're going to take quite a bit of work to get right. They sort of go on there. And in fact, you can see how much I've sanded off this kit when you actually look at how much bigger the hands are than the arms, which were at the time the same size. So you can see they're so much bigger. Let me level up that side. Yeah, you're not really going to see it, but don't worry, the sun's coming, so the dog's barking a bit. Yeah, so, and the arms are slowly turning into where I want them to be. And once that's done, all that's left for me to do is go over the rag that he's wearing again, and we're done. So very pleased with that. It's going well. I did put a smear of red around the lips. You can't really see it. But very, very slight amount with oils, and blended that in. That's great. So that's Dobby. I've got another order ready to go out in terms of Predator. This one is my best one yet, I've got to say. The finish on this one it beats the first one I've done hands down. So I've kept the first one. I shall work on that. But this one will be going to one of the people that's asked for one. Excellent on that. The first one, I did try and do a little bit more. So basically, I just sprayed a skin color on. I got a bit of primer on it, and I then came along and started sanding down the stomach a bit because the texture was a bit too rough for my liking. I also I tried to start adding a bit more detail to the kit, so a little bit of scratch building. These will get filled in, but I'm trying to add a little bit of detail there. I also added a bit more detail on the top of his wrist where he wears his computer thingy bob. Let me just so I just added that there. That's literally just 4 pieces of styrene bar and then filled it with sprue goo. I was initially going to fill that up flat and then sand it flat, but I'm actually thinking of doing something with the screens in there. And I don't know, I haven't made up my mind yet what to do with that. Maybe making up the funny little characters that he does that do the countdown. So yeah, I'm still thinking on that. So that's Mr. Predator Man. I've been working on that again. Base coats are normally acrylic on this, and then I start working with the oils once I get to the top layer. Oddly enough, this chap was in the bin earlier this week. I just got fed up with it and I chucked it in the bin. I did get it back out. I'm glad I did, because there's nothing what I need to do to him to make him presentable is a lot of hard work. Whereas with this Predator, there's a lot less work required. The hair is so smooth on this one. When I printed this off, I had to put a load of filler over it to smooth it out and get rid of the lines and that. You're not going to need that on this one. But there was a difference. This took 16 hours to print. This took 57 hours to print. So a big difference. When I say this took 16 hours, I'm just referring to the just above the belt to the back of the head there. The face was separate. So that's where that's at. And then on to my current build. We've rattled through these rather quick. And so I'm building the Hasegawa, and it's the Maschinenkrieger Groberhund. It's upside down. I can't. Mine's upside down. Sorry about that, but I've done quite a bit with this. Now the thing was, this is a press fit kit, mostly press fit. There's lots of do not cement in the instructions. Now I've got to say, I went through it, and I did start sticking it all together and pressing the bits together as they said. But I've got an album on the SprueSurgery Waiting Room page in Facebook, and it shows the pictures of this build as I done it. And a lot, when I say a lot, nearly 100% of this build, they just kept coming apart. The pieces just kept coming apart, had huge, horrible gaps. That didn't seem right. I felt it needed gluing together, and I felt it needed, nearly everything needed filling. But before I did so, I just wanted to check that was right. And I did know that Will Patterson had been building some of these Maschinenkrieger kits. So I just dropped him a message basically saying, you know, I've got this problem. I sent a couple of pictures. Am I right in, you know, gluing these together and filling them? And he sort of concurred that that's how he treated these kits as well. So that was good enough for me. So yeah, you can see that I've been round, and you can see how big some of these gaps are from, you know, and they would have looked awful if I'd have carried on, if I'd have put this together and left them gaps. Can you imagine how awful this would have looked? Especially down the front of the are we going to get a focus in? Now, I did anticipate this, and I brought this board. That's what this board is for this week. So, and it's double-sided, so we can do that if we need to. And then, again, another one. This is another leg. Quite large gaps, both sides. And you can see in certain areas they're not. So, for example, at the top here, there's no filler, and it meets. So, yeah, there was definite issues there. Just trying to see where, because nearly all of them, yeah, even on this one, you've got a gap that runs round until you get to one spot in particular. and there is no filler there because it meets. So I could have spent the time trying to find the high spot, I guess, and then maybe it would have worked out better. But I think this is fine. I've not encountered any problems yet due to the filler. On the side here, I've got some Squadron Green putty, which is going to act as my rust. There will be more, but I just put some of that down just to get a general feel for how it's going to be. And so you've pretty much come at the time when this is almost ready to put together. Let me just check where I'm at. I think we've got the back bit to do. So I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll put together what we've got here so far, and then we'll carry on with the build to what we've got. So there's the two arms. This or these, I believe, are the lower legs. That. And that. Now if we can get this to stabilize on its own. Let's see. Right, then we come to not exactly sure over where. That's the front light. Okay. It's time for me to have a look at where that goes. So this is the now it's saying that this hook here goes over there. And number one, yeah, goes in there. So that pops in there. There we go. And then we've got a little sort of rubber hose, which they keep referring to as a steel hose in the instructions, much to my annoyance. It's not a steel hose, it's a rubber hose. Well, I don't even think it's rubber. That will need gluing in place in a minute, so but let me just tease that through there, get that roughly in the position. It needs to be, which is going to be on there somewhere. Yeah, I'm just going to go down there at the side. There's a little notch that it fits in. Excellent. And the head's fully articulated by the looks of it. Yeah, we've got movement left, right, up, down. It's going to be restricted a little bit. These are the eye. I'm thinking these are the eyes at the front. And what I've done is, because I lost the left eye, so I've just given it, I drilled a little hole and put a fibre optic cable in the end. Had I thought ahead, I probably could have put a light on that and a battery. There's very little space though for that. So what I'll do is I'll just paint the tip red, I guess, like a Terminator style thing, and leave it at that. So that's the head together. I just need to check where everything else. So yeah, there's other bits that now need to be. So we've got rubber cable that's got to go on as well. So, and I'm guessing that there. So, problem is, every time one of these pieces move, I think it feels like it's been broken. Yeah. And then we're going to put this other laser gun on here. It's going to be a bit of a pig to paint. And that then sits on there. Oh, something did break then. Yeah. It's okay. Fortunately, it hasn't broken off. So it's just a case of getting a little bit more glue down there. So we get in there slowly. Now then, I'll try and keep the weight balance right. Oh, that's come off. Yeah, that's come off. Not to worry. I can get this glued back on. If it does prove to be an issue, it's not a problem because this isn't a new kit. By that I mean I'm going to give it a worn look, so it could be that a shield is broken on it and it needs to be repaired. Now I'm guessing it looks as though I might have I put that on backwards? No. I need to know where yeah. I'm just wondering whether I've put that on the wrong way. I think I might have done. get this. Where have you gone? Just make sure I get this right this time, because they only last so long before this rubber starts to perish. I'm guessing that right. Okay, now that makes sense. And that would sort of drop on there. I'm just putting it on lightly because I'm going to have to take it apart to prime it. So we're sort of looking like that at the moment. It doesn't feel very sturdy. And dear Lord. And obviously, as you can tell, there's areas where it just isn't very strong. But yeah, then these areas have got to be primed. You know, I would be so tempted if I could find the right glue to just glue them in position. Some of these leg joints, not glue them so they couldn't turn, but glue them so that they wouldn't fall out of the sockets. But that's where we're at with that. Now I need to separate, so I just wanted to make sure that's okay, but that is that side is very weak. Let's get now I can get under, I can see underneath it. Need as much contact on that as possible to make that a solid join. So let's leave that to dry. I'll probably leave that till tomorrow. I'm going to prime this later on tonight. Once I've got this last piece of the puzzle in. So we've done that. We got that in. Now we're over here on the last piece, I believe, yeah. So we need 2 sets, T1, T3, T2. So I'm fortunate now that I've got the whole kit reduced down to these, which is a lot better. In fact, I think I've got another one now that I can throw out. Yep. Just double check. There's another one gone. Excellent. But this is one. So T. So we want T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so they're all on there. Come in and use the nippers. They need adjusting a little bit. They're not quite going all the way through. I adjusted these earlier on. I've put too much of a gap. So I just need to close up the gap slightly, tighten up the knurled knot. Oh, the knot, sorry, it's not knurled. And there we go, we should have a much better. There we go, that's better. Snip through these. Now it says 2 sets, so I would say it's pretty damn obvious that sprue is finished. So there's going to be another sprue T. I don't need to look for the number because it's got a rather unique set of, there they are. It's one of these things you can spot. We may as well cut these off at the same time. Very careful they don't roll off the desk, especially if you're one of these with one of them special floating the tables that defy gravity and everything rolls off when you put them on. Right, start and then come along. And because of the way Hasegawa make their sprues, we've now got to come along and go over each one just to remove the little nub that's left on the face of the if you're going to see it, there we go, the little nubs on the face there. You have to remove them. You could say that I could go in at the beginning and cut them off there instead of having to do it this way, but I think it's actually a lot quicker to go along and do it when you've got hold of them like this. As long as you're careful and you don't nip something off that shouldn't be, which can happen. They're just location tabs half the time. Sorry, I done that one. Some of them are not too bad. That one's okay. That one's okay. It says I've got 14 new notifications. No, nothing I'm going to change there. That one. A little bit on that. Here to go. We're probably going to have to just nip over some of these with a sander just to make sure it's flattened. There we go. One of these has got a... No, got that one off okay. Yeah, these sprue cutters are rather nifty. Most of the time you can get rid of the nub without having to go back and do anything to it, which is great. Force of habit though, I normally go back with a sander and just give it a quick wipe over, but you know, that's just good modeling skills really, to stay in that you don't want to drop into bad habits. I've got a rather sore throat at the moment, which tends to play up mostly on a Wednesday night, to be honest, because of talking. So I think I'm going to have to schedule an appointment with the doctor, because it's starting to get on my nerves a bit. Only really hurts when I talk. I've been getting around it by always normally have to have a drink near me. Alas, I think it might be the amount of sanding I've done, and I haven't really done any wet sanding on Dobby. I've done mainly dry sanding, which was very, very bad of me. So I think it might have irritated my throat. I should know better. I've only got myself to blame, but I need to get into the practice of wet sanding. There we go, right. Now then. So put two of these together. Let's turn the fan on, I'm a bit hot. And then I'm using, at the moment, I'm using the quick setting Tamiya. Again, I'm just letting the capillary action do the job. Nothing else required. Most of the time you can see it flood through the channel. job done. And again, we're going to require some filling here. Some areas it's closed up nicely, but there's still not a great join there. So then this goes on the bottom there. Okay. And then I need to make sure I get this the right way around. That sits on there. So this is a new Panzerschreck. So obviously some kind of RPG. And all we've got there is, this goes on the side. Make sure I get it in the right spot. So that goes on first, by the looks of it. And then that goes on underneath. Right, I get it. So you must put that on first through there like so. And then on there. So let's get that bit glued down first. And then they just sit. Oh, come on. Alright, come on. Didn't want to sit down there. And then they just sit over the top of these little they've got tiny little pins under them that drop into that locating hole on that, what is essentially the strap for that rocket. Excellent. We've got that in there. So then this is where this comes into play. It's a good bit of stuff because you just want to put a little bit of that on. It dries virtually instantly. And there we go, they're in. So let me just do the other side. And there, we'll come around and do the same on this side. And there we go. So that's our Panzerschreck. We'll leave that one to dry and we'll build up the next one. So you can see on the bands, they just go together so that you've got the little, hold on, let me just clamp them together like so. And you can see the tiny little, where have we got that? The tiny little pinholes either side. And then this comes along and basically just sits in each hole because it's got you're gonna let me show them. There you go. Got the tiny little pins in. Very, very easy to build. Nothing complicated at all. It will actually only go on to the kit one way. There we go. There we go. We've done most this other side. This side's definitely going to want filling. Got one of those horrible gaps at the top. And then we come round to this. Just double check. And I didn't notice on this, the other one, but this actually has little pinholes at the top as well that go into this little cap. So I'm going to need to go back and check that other one to see how it looks because I didn't see them. I hope I've got them in the right place by accident. And I have. That's incredible. Completely by accident, I managed to get them in the right spot. That could have been messy, having to... I never thought of that though, did I? Stupid boy. Right. Let me get that in position first. Okay, let's get that in position first. So just want to. There we go. Come on. There we go. Glue that on there. And that's the other Panzer Shrek done. Superb. Yeah, it's a bit quiet in there tonight, isn't it? So pop that to one side. So what have we got now that we need? We've got them done. So the head's supposed to go on. Well, we really need to get everything primed before we start putting stuff together. Q23, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Can't really do that because no, that can't go on yet because it ain't been primed. That can't go on because they need to go on first. Let me have a look at the back of this. So I think number 1 can go on. Number 2 can probably go on. Number 3 can go on. And number 4. The only trouble is, before that can happen, these here have to come up the back and they go in them little slots there either side. So, but I can't do that unless I prime this all together as one piece. So if I just pop that on there, and then that will go on there like that, and that will go in there like that. Yeah, okay, let's do that. So we've got a little bit of instant glue here. They call it instant glue, they mean super glue. It looks like the bottle's dried up at the tip. Let me just get this old super glue out. Oh, it's filler. Now, if that don't come out, then we'll have to use a different if this doesn't break off, we'll have to use a different cup. Oh, there we go. There we go. Get rid of that. And we've got just a bit of I don't like to throw these out because I don't have many of them, so I'll keep hold of them. Grim death, you know. Don't get rid of these unless they have to be absolutely destroyed. So I am looking at getting some different ones for that the tattoo parlours use. The little pots that they put their paint in. If I do, I will be sure to share where I get them. And right, let's have a look at this. Don't want to do what I've done before, peer down the bottle and then accidentally there we go, just oh great. That's broke off in there. Just what you need. Just what you need. How can I get a pair of tweezers to pull that out? Try some that have got a bit. Right. Let's just drill it out. Like a cork, eh? There we go. It's in there. We've still got a bit of wood in there. Absolutely hate these bloody tops. There we go. I think I've broken a twist drill. I actually used to be able to sharpen drills back when I worked for Turbo Technics and didn't have any trouble with that at all. But I don't own one of those high-speed bench grinding wheels anymore. So unfortunately, broken drill will remain broken. There's a forgotten art, I think, to grinding drills to a point. Right. Poured quite a large amount of this out. Probably too much. And it's not. It's fucking super glue. I mean, I'm not that impressed with it. There we go. Now we want to do the same on this side. So we literally just dab in a cocktail stick in there. For any people that have not done this before, just dab in a cocktail stick in your super glue. And applying it to where you've got to. And then you just want to. No, let's come out. See, if you're only putting the small amounts in, you've got to be careful because it dries so quick. And the key sometimes to this, if it doesn't stick like that, isn't before you reach for your activator, is first things first, make sure you can actually see that the glue is getting onto the surface, and then you need to, what I do if I'm having trouble is put it on both surfaces so that you're sort of pre-priming one surface and then come along and then rather than waiting for the glue to set on this, because you've already put glue on this side and that side, you just want the two glues to combine, which works a lot quicker and a lot better than just applying glue to one surface. Right, there we go. So that's a bit too far. Need to get the weight balance right so that it will stand on its own. See, at the moment it's going to tip forward, so we've got too much weight. Still wants to tip forward. You can point the feet out slightly. That helps if you're struggling with balance, because if you put them two together like that, it will tip forward, just that alone. So you can see with them both pointing forward like that, it just wants to go. But just by turning them out, you've got a better... There we go. So that's ready for priming. Now that is going to be a constant pain. I think I'm going to have to put some super glue on that, because and I needed probably something better than that cocktail stick. So I'm going to use my glue loop, which I made. It's just a piece of wooden doweling, so long sewing needle. Just cut the end off the sewing needle, fucking halfway along the eye. It's not going to let me. Is it going to come into focus? There we go. Halfway along the eye, cut that off, or near the base of the eye, sorry. Drill a little hole in the end of the dowel and put the pointy end in there and super glue it in. And then what happens is when you dip it in glue, it will collect the glue. I can't show you. It will collect the glue in that little well area, and the minute you touch anything, it will flood around that surface. So I think it's just going to be safest to glue that on, to be honest. Hopefully that will hold. There we go. And then when you're finished, because obviously that's going to stay in there, and it won't work the second time. So you just I was gonna say, oh, there it is, right in front of my eyes. I can't see it. Just use fire, and just burn it off. That'll cool down, and it's ready to use again. Right, so let's pop that to one side. And I think we're coming up to half past shortly, so I'm going to be knocking this on the head in a minute. Q23. Oh, I've just put... Why didn't I put this on before? And I've got to be careful here because, yeah, 1. Q, that's W. My apologies, Q. 23. I've got a feeling that's one of the little bits that I cut off an old sprue that was almost finished. That's E. That's B. It's A. V. So I'm missing Q. Not so much. Hold on a minute. Is that Q? No, that's S. Okay. You know, we nearly made it through the entire live stream without losing a single thing. I haven't already stuck it on, have I? No, I haven't. It's odd because I don't remember seeing that piece either. And when you reach this stage, you pretty much know all the pieces. Yeah, it looks like it's a cover for those there. I can probably make one on my 3D printer, which will mean a delay. It would be nice to actually, it would be nice to get through an entire live stream without one of the pieces going missing. I don't suppose that's ever going to happen. But we will have to move on without that, I think. I don't want to spend loads of time looking for pieces. That's one of the new things that needs to change. Right. Yeah, so now we're coming up to rubber cable that needs cutting. I've worked with rubber cable before. I don't have very fond memories of it. But that was when I very first started modeling. I would like to think I can do a lot better now. Okay, I'm gonna call it there. So I'm not gonna. Let me just have a quick roll through the chat to see if there's anything been going on of interest. Oh, you've got Nikki Reborn. Hi, Nikki. Nikki across the pond. Hi, Nikki from the UK. Yeah. Jan's in. Hello, Jan. John Reeves. Don't recognise that name. Hi, John. Plastic Monkey. looks like my ex. Well, we won't go into that. Just lost my dad last Monday, so taking. Oh dear. Sorry to hear that, John. There's nothing I can say. No, Bob's not in. I'm not actually sure if he'll be back or not, to be honest, at this point. Okay, no, there's nothing I'm seeing on there. Oh, thanks, Jan. That's handy to know. Jan's just telling me that tattoo paint cups are very cheap on AliExpress. Yeah, they're perfect for what I need, really. They're very small. You can put a little bit of paint in them to do your whatever you're painting at the time. They're no good for mixing volumes of paint more than sort of 10, 15 mils. But apart from that, yeah, they're good to use. So anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget that as from roughly now, you can go and put your pictures in the SprueSurgery Waiting Room for viewing next week, where we will, or I will, have a look at them on the show, and we'll go through them. And also the triage will be opening up in the next day or so. If you've got a problem kit, or you've got a specific problem you want help with, it doesn't matter what it is. We've got all the people here necessary to help you with that. So please feel free to put any question you like in about modeling, if whatever the problem is, and somebody will get back to you on it. Okay, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next week. Until then, bye for now.